What's up, folks? It's Parallax Abstraction, and welcome to Indie Showcase. This is one that I have been really anxious to show you guys because I have been having a blast with this, and it has taken over a lot of my few minutes of game time here and there. Oh my goodness. First thing I want to do before I start this is I apologize that this video ends up looking really blocky. This uses some really interesting visual effects that I think the YouTube encoder is going to totally mangle. I hope I'm wrong about that, but I'm not so sure about it. Yes, indeed, this is Jetboard Joust. I want to give a shout out to my good buddy Technomancer88 who had this come up in his Steam Discovery queue and pointed it out to me. I didn't know about it before then, but man, am I glad I learned about it because it is a blast. This, if you're a big retro fan like me, and a big fan of roguelikes, is going to do really good things for you because this game is more or less if you mashed a roguelike with Defender. Yeah, no kidding. It is absolutely a blast. So it has a little bit of instructions here, but really I'm just going to show you how this goes. This is fantastic. So here's how this works. So you're literally a little alien dude on a jetboard who has to kill a bunch of enemies and save dudes and get points while you're doing it. Yeah, it's pretty straightforward, but you're going to see here, you start off with this crazy level map, and you have to work your way down this pyramid until you get to a boss, and each of the levels has different traits to them. If you want to take a look, pause the video and you can see the legend on the right there. I won't go over all of them, but they all have their own little different traits to them, and you have to pick which one interests you the most. So here's how it goes. The loop of this thing is pretty simple. You fire up here, tells you what to do, and then off you go. So I'm playing with an Xbox One controller. You can play this with a keyboard and mouse. I would definitely suggest a controller personally, but yeah, you do have various options here. So this is very much like Defender in that you're flying left to right. You've got your little map up top there. You've got dudes that are being kidnapped. You have to save them. You get more points. You don't have to save them all, but you get points for doing that if you can. You have to take out all the enemies. As you progress through the game, various types of enemies will spawn of various different types of playstyles and difficulties. And then once you get to the end of a level, levels are reasonably quick, though this one was particularly short because we're just starting up. You can either enter a teleporter and leave the level straight away, or if you want to do a mini-boss, you can do this treasure chamber thing here. Some of these fights are not too bad, especially once you get better weapons. Some of them are absolutely brutal and will smash your face in. But if you complete them, what happens is a key opens, the treasure chamber opens, and through this you get a whole bunch of extra money and usually some extra weapons or potentially weapon upgrades. So you see we got a pile of money in here. So there's the cluster bomb gun. There's the RPG. There's a ton of different weapons in this. Now, what you can do is by pulling on the right trigger, you can switch between your pistol, which is a very basic gun that has unlimited ammo, or you can switch between whatever special weapon you have equipped at the time, and you see it gives you the options to change it out sometime. Each weapon has its own individual ammo count. Ammo drops occasionally in the game so that you can pick it up, in addition to shields, which is effectively health here. Beyond that, so we're going to jump into the teleporter here and we'll pick our next level with our next trait. And in addition to that, what also happens is that when you may have seen when I blew up the enemies that their jetboard sort of fell down to the bottom and then fell through the world. If you can grab their jetboards before they go through the world, you get a little bit of extra health that way too. So it's very, very fast, very, very visceral arcade style gameplay. And you can see here there's a shop option, so you spend all those coins you've been picking up, which are separate from your score, as you can see in the upper left there, to buy different upgrades either to your guns, your jetboard, or your jet suit. Some of these upgrades are very expensive. You're going to have multiple levels where you can't actually afford to buy anything, or where you want to save up to buy something a little bit better. So, and especially with those treasure chambers, this game really encourages the greed factor. Sometimes, you know, if you're low on health or you're getting near the end, you probably don't want to risk the boss fight. You want to move on, but it's always that niggling temptation there to get you to go in and get some power-ups and some money to get some better stuff here. So you see we got two options here. This level will have a repair weapons ability. Weapons can get damaged over time, which reduces their effectiveness. So you can do that, or you have an option here, which is a lucky dip. I don't know what lucky dip means, actually. I think it's just stronger enemy types that give more score or something. I actually am not 100% sure. So you see now I've got the RPG, which I actually really love because it's got a wicked AoE. And yeah, and then you see ammo will occasionally drop that you can go pick up. So you see there, it's picking up, you see your little humans getting picked up there. If the enemies manage to carry them to the top of the screen, you will not only lose that human and the ability to recover them in the level, but the enemy will level up to something much, much stronger. So you really don't want that to happen, because if several of the enemies get leveled up, you could have a pretty bad time. But you see, the levels are relatively short and relatively quick moving, and one of the things I like about this game is that even though it is... Oh, hey, I got an achievement. Nice. This game also has a crazy number of achievements in it, though some of them are very, very difficult to get, so you will unlock a fair amount of them if that's the thing that you're into. And one of the things that's nice about this is that even though this game is a roguelike, it does have saving in between levels. And there's actually multiple saves in it too, which is really nice. You can actually have multiple saves on the go, which I really appreciate. So if you only have time to play a few minutes here and there. So you see, this enemy's normally pretty tough with just your pistol, but you see a couple of rocket shots and he dead. Oh yes. And you can see how fast this moves, right? And it's got the screen shake in it. It's got the very crazy pixeling art style and whatnot. Ooh, I got a free jet suit upgrade. Sweet. So it has all of these different visual elements that just make it very, very fast and very twitchy and really get your adrenaline going. As you can tell probably by my expression so far, I've been having a friggin' blast with this game. This has been so much fun. It is only on PC right now. I really, really hope this comes to consoles, because my goodness, this needs to be on more places. This is seriously, I'm not kidding you guys, this has been one of my favorite indie games this year so far, and I played a lot of good stuff in 2020, but as someone who loves old school arcade games, especially, and retro games, this just scratches so many itches for me. It's very, very fast. It's visceral. It's got a score attack element to it. It's got, so here's a cluster bomb, which I don't really like because it's very delayed, but it also does this crazy, like, multi-merv explosion thing that if you land it at the right time can be absolutely insane. It's got a really good combo system to it. Oh, it can stick to enemies too. I didn't even know that. But yeah, it's got a really, really good combo system in it. It actually has an interesting continue system where if you have it handy, you can actually spend some coins to continue your game, which roguelikes don't normally allow that, but the coin cost goes up over time. So, if you have to do it too often, you're eventually going to reach a point where you can't do it. And oh yeah, the game's called Jetboard Joust. I almost forgot about that. So if you press the B button, you can do that. You do like a crazy charge move that allows you to just ram right through enemies, which is an absolute blast. You're somewhat limited in the number of uses of those that you have, but they do recharge fairly quick. And when you're dealing with the enemy, certain enemy types, it is very handy. I'll be honest with you, I've been forgetting to use it a lot of the time, but I shouldn't be, because it's very important to the experience of the game to be able to do. So there we go. See, that guy got that human out the top of the screen, so he's evolved. So as you can see, he has more health and he's faster and he can shoot a lot more. That guy can get you screwed pretty fast. So you got to be careful about that. But yeah, when you die in this, you actually have the ability to buy continues with the in-game credits that you earn, but it gets harder to do over time. So really, I tend to always go for this treasure chamber, which has been my undoing multiple times, but sometimes you definitely don't want to do that, especially if you're near the end. I've gotten to the boss in this once, of this first level, and I didn't beat it. The boss was no friggin' pushover, I'll tell you what. But that's what I like about this. This game gets challenging for sure, but it's not brutal out of the gate. And I think that's very key. If the game was too hard or too frustrating right out of the gate, it would turn off a lot of people, especially new players. But it's actually fairly easy early on, and you get to pick up the gameplay very, very quick, and you get to have a really good experience getting used to things and how it works. And then it starts to ramp up the challenge later on. As you can see, the level colorization changes every time, but this is the thing that I like about this game. It is, at its core, a fairly simple concept, but there's a lot of depth to it. There's a lot of systems to this. This is not just a modern-day Defender. There's a lot more to this than Defender had. And this developer, who traditionally, from what I can tell, has mostly made mobile apps, really... They didn't just make Defender again, which, believe me, a lot of people have done. Many have tried. But even though this is called Jetboard Joust, it's not really like Joust from back in the day. I mean, a little bit maybe, but not really. It's a really wholly unique roguelike experience that also is very arcade focused or very arcade mechanic focused, and really appeals to people who remember those kinds of games. And you can instantly look at this and go, oh yeah, that's like Defender, except it's really, really not. And that's very impressive. And I really like the visual style. I really like how fast it moves. I love how responsive the controls are. The controls on this are absolutely rock solid. I love the upgrades, the huge variety of weapons, the fact that it lets you step out for a bit. You know, if you need, if you only have time to play this a little bit here and there, you can save the game and step out. This game also, as you can probably tell from its pixel art visual style, is very, I mean, I haven't tested it myself, but this is probably very potato friendly, as I call it, i.e. you could run this on, you know, a laptop with integrated graphics, whether it's a work laptop or just a non-gaming personal laptop that you might have access to. You know, I always wanted to be able to find a way to do more extensive testing on that, but there's a lot of really good indie games I play that are very capable of running on very low spec machines, and I like that because it gives you the ability to have something fun to play if you're not necessarily near your bigger console or your big gaming PC or something like that, which I have always really appreciated about the indie space. And yeah, honestly, I'm not kidding you when I tell you that this has been an incredible surprise, and so far has been potentially among my top indie games of 2020 in a year that has had a lot of good stuff, because the dev gave me a press code for this, and I went, all right, let's go take a look at this thing, and like more than an hour went by, and I was just like, oh god, where did that time go? And like I decided to play this a little bit for research on my lunch break at work, and then I was like, well, my lunch break now was 3 times longer than it should have been. Oops. So maybe not 3 times, but it was a decent length. And this is very much a just one more level thing, or a just one more run kind of game. I have been exceedingly impressed with this. And it did come from who I thought was an experienced dev, or a rookie dev, just because, you know, I don't tend to follow the mobile market very much, so I didn't know that these guys had made a whole bunch of stuff before this, but they are an experienced team. But this seems to be one of their first cracks at making a more traditional style game, and they clearly have got some wicked experience in this genre. Like I said, I really hope this gets to come to more platforms because of its nature. You know, I say this with every indie game, oh, this would be so good on the Switch, but because of its sort of quick, twitchy, short session friendly nature, this would actually be really good on the Switch because it's portable, you know. Or even if this came to Xbox and had access to xCloud for people to quickly stream it on their phone. I mean, while I don't really like playing any major game with touch controls, I'm just going to skip ahead here. This is something you could theoretically play with touch controls on a phone, though it's probably a little bit too fast to make that work reliably. But with a controller on a phone, I mean, abso-friggin-lutely. So, yeah, this is Jetboard Joust. You know, it's a game I can actually... It's very easy to explain, but, you know, hard to master type thing. This is a game that you could put a lot of time into to get really good at, but the core concept of it is very simple. And hopefully this little visual demonstration shows you guys just how crazy this game is and how much damn fun I have been having with it, you know. It may not, if you're not big into really twitchy stuff, this probably won't do it for you, but whether or not you have if you have very fond memories of Defender, you're probably already going to buy this thing. But if you're not someone who remembers Defender very well from back in the day, or even someone who didn't like it very much, this changes the formula enough that I think it could be very, very interesting. So there you go. I game over it. So you see I can insert 600 coins to continue if I want. I'm not going to bother. But yeah, there we go. This is definitely an indie gem this year, and, you know, I love good stories and games, but I'm all about gameplay first, and this delivers that in spades. So that is Jetboard Joust, people. I hope you found this interesting. If you did, please do all your normal YouTube things. Thumbs up the video, click that subscribe button, hit the bell, and leave a comment down below. Tell me what you think about this, and as I always ask, if you know of other games like this that might scratch a similar itch that I haven't covered here, drop them down below. Let me know, because I'd always like like to find more interesting stuff to take a look at, because even with my buddies hitting me up with stuff off their Steam curator or their Steam discovery list, and me looking for what I can, there's so much stuff out there that I miss a lot of it. So anytime you guys come across something like this that you think is cool and isn't getting the attention it deserves, let me know, because I would love to take a look at it. So, and yeah, as always, you can tune in as well at twitch.tv/pxabstraction for multiple variety streams a week of all kinds of games, old and new. We cover all sorts of other things over there, including things I don't get to on the channel here. So yeah, feel free to check that out as well. Thank you very much for watching, guys, and I will see you on the next episode of Indie Showcase. You folks have yourselves a good one. Take it easy.